The Nationals have a tough opening day here against the Pittsburgh Pirates, but let's just relax, everybody. Baseball is back in DC, and there are some good things. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, check us out over on YouTube at Locked On Nationals, and wherever you get your podcasts, just search Locked On Nationals. There, hit that subscriber button. Again, that is wherever you get your podcast. And if you haven't tuned in before, I am Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on X at Ryan Clary11, and as well as the show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on there. And thank you all again for tuning into this special post-game show after Nationals opening day, because, hey, baseball is back in DC. It's nice to know it. We're here. So let's get into it, guys, because later on in the show, Jesse Winker, who was not really scratched, he was replaced with Eddie Rosario and the Nationals lineup today. It was kind of a surprising move. No one really knows what's happening yet. Davey Martinez has yet to speak to the media. But with that said, I'm going to assume it's nothing too serious at this point of time. But Jesse Winker could have a very valuable role with this team. I think we realized that with not only kind of his hot start here, but also kind of looking into one thing in particular that I saw on Saturday, and I loved it. Something that you really want to see from a veteran guy. We're going to get into that later on. Also, it is a Monday, so it is a Nats stock report. Who's been hot? Who's been not? Joey Gallo. But we'll get into that a little bit later on in today's show. But before we get into opening day, kind of talking about MacKenzie Gore's start, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So we're going to get started here with discussing MacKenzie Gore's day, as, again, the Nationals didn't have the greatest game of today. You know, they had their ups and downs. They had moments of which, I believe in the bottom of the seventh inning, when it was 3-3, they had a 59% chance of winning this game. That did not come into fruition, also, as we know, because the Nationals lost this game of a score of 8-4. Not a great game, but still, let's get into the MacKenzie Gore start, because some people, when I was at the park today, first off, if you're coming up, thank you guys. Always appreciate the support for Locked On Nationals. But a couple people came up and were like, why is MacKenzie Gore the 4 starter for the Nationals? Well, it wasn't really that he's the 4 starter. They're not putting Jake Irvin ahead of him. They just wanted something to look forward to for the Nationals home opener. And when you have MacKenzie Gore on the mound, who, in my opinion, will be the Nationals ace down the line going into this season, it's a good thing to look over. But listen, MacKenzie Gore, while he didn't really necessarily have his ace stuff today, he still looked really good in his first start of 2024. Going 5 1/3, giving up 5 hits, no home runs, 6 strikeouts, and 2 walks in a 5 1/3 innings. MacKenzie Gore, listen, going into the 6th inning was something that we didn't really see all too much of last year because of the walks and the amount of balls that kind of accumulated over a start. That was something in itself you can kind of take away from a little bit of a win here. Now, again, the numbers aren't great. If you look at his ERA, throw that away, it's a 5.06. He was good. This was a fine start for MacKenzie Gore. And one thing in particular, this was something that, you know, MacKenzie Gore has struggled with over time. Things really have turned to kind of pile on him at times. But over his first 2 innings, he had 47 pitches just to get through innings 1 and 2 combined. Innings 3 and 4, that is when MacKenzie Gore kind of settled in, and that is when he only threw 24 pitches in those 2 innings. Those are the differences when it comes to MacKenzie Gore. We've talked about it again. We just mentioned it. Last year, one of his main issues was not really getting deep into games. The reason why he was doing that, not because he was getting hit around. Yes, he did have times where during the middle of the season, he kind of hit some slumps here and there, but really what it was not pounding the strike zone. I think we saw plenty of that today. And really just the way that he used his stuff, his changeup really early on in the game, he was using it a ton. I think we saw that. That was a little bit of a change from last year. going forward from MacKenzie, the one thing that you're just going to have to keep your eye on in particular, not his stuff. We know his stuff is filthy. It's some of the top pitches in baseball in the NL East. We're talking NL East pitchers goes, but MacKenzie Gore, it's got to just kind of stay calm out there. When things get rough, stay in the fight. As the 2019 Nats say, I even hate that I said that right then and there, but still, that is really just what it's about for MacKenzie Gore, because it wasn't all that bad. It really wasn't. He had moments of not all that great times, getting hit around there, a couple doubles, but still, MacKenzie Gore, I thought, was really good in today's contest. Now, there weren't some great things of today's game. For instance, the bullpen. The bullpen was not good for the Nationals today, as, again, you don't really have any of your ace guys going out of this bullpen. Matt Barnes came in, Robert Garcia came in, got rocked around, and then Tanner Rainey to come and finish it in the ninth. 2 earned runs there, walked a couple of batters, only had 1 strikeout. Tanner Rainey's toast, sitting at 92 miles per hour. We're going to get into him a little bit later on in the show today, but Tanner Rainey, what are we doing? And I saw this tweet a little bit earlier. I wish I had the who sent it out at that time so I can give them the proper credit, but if it's you, I'll make sure to give you that retweet right here and there. If the Nationals don't have their Hunter Harveys, even Kyle Finnegan, after yesterday's outing, but if you don't have your ace kind of guys going, and really right now the Nats are also missing Jose Ferrer a lot, in my opinion, we're in trouble. Because Derek Law also came in, gave up 3 hits, had a walk. Wasn't bad, but still getting kind of hit around, coming in for MacKenzie Gore, saving the day. Robert Garcia comes in, 2 1/3 innings, 1 earned run, 1 strikeout. The Nats bullpen, this was supposed to be kind of their strong suit. I thought they had a lot of depth, and I still believe that they are missing Jose Ferrer and a lot of different other guys, but the Nationals did not get it done today. This was not their game. This was not their cup of tea, especially when you have guys at the top of the lineup with, you have C.J. Abrams collecting 2 hits, but even then in the middle of the lineup, you have Lane Thomas who only had a hit. Joey Meneses goes 0 for 4 with 2 Ks. Keibert Ruiz has a hit. Jesse Winker got scratched from the lineup. Then Eddie Rosario fills in, goes 0 for 4 with the strikeout. This was not a good game, really, by the offensive standards that go, because only 8 hits in those 9 innings when the Nationals had a lot of runners in scoring position, as we saw them go 2 for 10 with 7 runners left on the bases against the Pirates in this just bad defeat at home. Well, it was an 8-4 loss. There were some positives. For instance, Riley Adams coming in, game-tying home run, flying one 420-plus feet over that fence. This is all stuff that you can kind of take in a small grain of salt and say, this is a good thing. Because Riley Adams coming off a hamate injury, making his his opening day 2024 debut after breaking that bone last fall. This is something to where the Nationals can kind of count in the win column, in my opinion. Coming off a hamate bone, this is one of the toughest injuries, especially for power-hitting guys. You saw it last year with Robert Hassel. Hassel discussed it with a lot of different reporters over spring training over just a few weeks ago down in West Palm Beach, how it was really tough for him to get over that. Didn't really have his power last year, struck out in a lot of at-bats. So seeing Riley Adams get up there in just his first few at-bats, smoking a home run. And for the people that are talking about maybe a potential move over to first base, you got to love to see that. So the Nationals, while it wasn't all that pretty, you have baseball back in town. I think that is a win in itself. So thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals there and hit that subscriber button for us. Next, let's get into a Nats stock report. It is a Monday after all, so you know what that means. Who's been up and who's been down. I'll catch you up on the latest of the Nationals' individual performances after I tell you guys a few things about some of our show sponsors, including our very good friends over at FanDuel. And the sports calendar is loaded, and FanDuel is making it even more exciting to get in on the action, because right now new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. For instance, yesterday I put in a little bit of a home run prop for C.J. Abrams, and of course he went yard. And if you thought about it with Riley Adams today, he had a home run as well. You can do all sorts of different things, including betting on the NCAA tournament. that is what you want to do. So when you do that, that is $200 that you can use to bet the tourney, MLB, NBA, NHL, and so much more. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a big win, including a Riley Adams home run, or maybe tomorrow or on Wednesday, rather, maybe, just maybe, you like a big Trevor Williams start, you can place some money on that as well. All you have to do is, again, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon. And now let me tell you guys about our very good friends also over at LinkedIn. And guys, when we talk about LinkedIn, you need to know all things here, because are you struggling to close deals? BTB selling is tougher than ever, and that is why you want to tell you about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals such as job changes or which accounts you should prioritize, and shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the people that matter. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That is linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a rock star today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon to get started. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals there. While you're at it, are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. So now we get into it, because it is a Monday, and if you're an everydayer out there, you know what that means. It is a Nats stock report time. Who's been up and who's been down? We always start off with the positive, so a stock up for the potential Nationals MVP, CJ Abrams, starting off the year with a 267 batting average, a 989 ops. CJ Abrams has been wildly impressive so far through his first handful of games here, but most importantly, Dave Jagler had this right before this game 2 of this Nationals, or of the Nationals Red Series, game 2 of the 2024 season. CJ Abrams did something that no one has ever done before in modern era of baseball. He became the first player ever with 3 walks, 3 steals, and a triple in the same game. And he scored 3 runs on top of that too. CJ Abrams, this is the kind of production that you want to see from him. And again, at the top of the lineup today, having another RBI, having 2 base hits today. CJ Abrams been off to a great start, really solid defense as well. And also one play in particular, when you saw that weird hop that it took a little dinker over to third base, kind of hit like a little pothole almost at the third baseline, played into foul territory, but you saw CJ Abrams backing up, getting over to third base to cover. Kevin Franson mentioned that with Masson on the broadcast today. That was a very smart, high baseball IQ play. Someone who is 23 years old, just turned 23 this last October, being a big part of this franchise. Those are all good signs that you want to see from CJ Abrams. And if, again, the Nationals, if they're going to really compete going into next season, you need a good CJ Abrams. So having him get off to this kind of hot start, again, only through 4 games here in town, still, it is something that you love to see from CJ. So it's good to see him getting going. And ultimately, hopefully the Nationals can carry on with this momentum, because they need it, like a guy named Joey Gallo, because Joey Gallo, stock down. The reason why I've given that, you signed Joey Gallo, you need to hit home runs, get on base, take a few walks. With that said, he has 2 walks in his first 14 at-bats, or plate appearances rather. Other than that, he has 0 for 12 with 6 strikeouts. A 50% strikeout rate earned him not to be in the lineup today, and that was probably the smart decision, because again, the Nationals, they did not have it today. Joey Gallo certainly has not had it through his first few games of this 2024 campaign, but This is going to be an up and down season for Joey Gallo. This is what we signed up for. If you've been watching baseball for quite some time outside of the Nationals, you know that this was coming, especially over the last few years. Joey Gallo just has not been able to find any consistency whatsoever. You saw it during spring training. The power was not there. He was striking out a ton, and now you're seeing it in the regular season. This is going to be the frustrating part with Joey Gallo. It's going to be lots of ups and a hell of a lot of downs with Joey Gallo, but not the start that you wanted to see, not the start that the Nationals hoped for after being the big marquee signing this offseason. So having Joey Gallo go 0 for 12, again, with a 50% strikeout rate through his first 12 at-bats, you don't love to see it. Stock up. The rookie sensation, may I say, Trey Lipscomb. Trey Lipscomb so far getting the call up on Saturday after Nick Senzel breaking his thumb right before opening day against the Cincinnati Reds. Coming up, starting the last 3 games. Trey Lipscomb, number 1, right then and there. Congrats. Welcome to the Bigs. You're going to be talked about a lot on this show. You might as well call it Locked On Trey Lipscomb until he gets sent down, or if he gets sent down at this point. But again, in today's contest, adding another hit, adding 2 RBIs as well, or actually having 2 hits rather, adding 0 RBIs. Read that wrong there. But Trey Lipscomb, what I have seen from him is just someone who is a very poised, great offensively so far, and also tremendous defensively. What we have seen from him is kind of what we have been promised. Now, I do expect him, again, it's only been 3 games. This is a marathon of a season. In a few weeks from now, you could be talking about the numbers that he's putting up in AAA Rochester. But while the time is now, over his first 3 games, you have to be impressed. Batting .455, a 1227 OPS, hitting a home run in his second game of the season yesterday in Sunday's contest against the Reds. This is going to be something that will be a big storyline to watch over these next few weeks, however much time he gets up in the majors. I can tell you this, if Trey Lipscomb is going to be hitting the next few weeks, he's not going to get back down to AAA. He's not. And again, the comparison that I've made with Danny Espinosa, I think I'm ready to say that that has expired. He might be just a little bit better than a utility player. You see why Davey Martinez and Mike Rizzo were so high on him coming off spring training, one of the better spring trainings that the Nationals have seen in quite some time with very limited experience, never even got sent to AAA while he was in Rochester taking BP. They called him up and said, "You're going to the bigs now, pal." So Trey Lipscomb up in the majors now. You love to see it. This is going to be something that we'll be watching quite closely as his development continues on. And really, this guy could be a huge difference maker for this team and for this organization down the line. And it's also a nice little turn for kind of what we have complained about in years past. You see teams like the Braves, they have prospects turn out of nowhere. You have Michael Harris, who's drafted in like the 100th round. You have Spencer Strider, who's drafted in like the 200th round. All these guys come out and they compete, and look at them now. Some people are picking Michael Harris to win MVP. People are picking Spencer Strider to win a Cy Young someday. So it's nice to see kind of midway draft picks, having a 3rd round pick in 2022 come up and make some sort of an impact. And really for the foreseeable future, some may predict just that, including myself. So let's get into a stock down, because this is something that if you were to tell me in 2019, Tanner Rainey would be sitting at 92 miles per hour on his fastball. Coming off Tommy John surgery, listen, Tanner Rainey, you can't really blame nobody, but what has happened to him? I mean, Tommy John surgery this last year, this wasn't something that the Nationals really expected from him, I don't think. But also seeing him sit 92 after someone who was a flamethrower just a handful of years ago, sitting 99 to 100, really consistency. Now you see it with him. It's just not good. This is a lost cause. And really at this point in time, with how good, quote unquote, the Nationals bullpen is, I would not be surprised to see Tanner Rainey get sent down, because seeing him throw 92 miles per hour fastballs, he doesn't necessarily have the stuff to carry himself all that far, because he gave up 3 hits today, 2 earned runs, walked 2 batters, only struck out 1. It was not an impressive showing for him whatsoever. So Tanner Rainey, stock down. It has not been good. It has not been a kind year for him. Hopefully he can kind of get some of his velo back, because again, his other breaking pitches, they aren't going to carry him all too far, as they just have not been impressive so far. And also kind of similar to MacKenzie Gore, he's got to start pounding the strike zone. So we'll see what happens with Tanner Rainey. But again, in 2019, I was thinking, oh man, the Nats have the closer of the future with Tanner Rainey. Not so much anymore. Unfortunately, that window, I think, has closed. Stock up for Riley Adams. A home run to tie the game coming off a haymaker injury. We covered it a little bit in that first segment of today's show. Hitting one 420 plus feet into the left field there, into the seats over the bullpen. Welcome back, Riley Adams. And again, we kind of mentioned this as well, but the crowd that has always said, well, if Keibert Ruiz doesn't work out, move him over to first base. Wrong catcher. This is the guy that you could maybe see move over to first base. And Davey Martinez even sent Riley Adams down back in 2022 to get work at first base in AAA Rochester. Ultimately never played first base last season for the Nats. But now, maybe with a haymaker injury, maybe to get him some time off his knees, you could potentially see Riley Adams maybe down the line go over to first base. And it would make sense for this team because you need a long-term solution over at first. It's certainly not going to be Joey Gallo. And while he does struggle, Joey Meneses as well could be kind of in that mix to be that first baseman of the quote-unquote future. But that's not a long-term plan because Joey Meneses over at first base defensively is a very hard watch. So Riley Adams, maybe he makes some adjustments, and maybe, just maybe, you could talk about him being that first baseman type for the Nats that you kind of wanted to see from Keibert Ruiz, but his offensive numbers, talking about Ruiz, won't be able to kind of transpire over to a first baseman there. But Riley Adams, on the other hand, big power, a big moose over there. You could see him kind of take over the reins at first base, and it would make some sense. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day. Next, let's talk about Jesse Winker. Jesse Winker, who did not play in today's contest after he was supposed to be starting in left field for your Washington Nationals. We don't know exactly what happened just yet, but still, I don't think it's going to be all too serious. So let's talk about his future with the Nats because I think he's going to have a pretty valuable role with this team. And one instance that I saw on Saturday really stood out to me. I'll tell you after that, after we tell you guys about our good friends over at Amazon Fire TV, because I love TV, so you got to try Amazon. And Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as a Fire TV stick that you can plug in your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels let you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports, March Madness, NBA, MLB, and lots more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well, guys. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. While Jesse Winker was a little bit of a late scratch in today's lineup, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it's nothing serious from him, but I think Jesse Winker is going to have a pretty valuable role with this organization down the line, and not just in years past, but kind of going into last year. When the Nationals signed Corey Dickerson, you're hoping to see someone who's going to take kind of this veteran leadership role. Well, now with Jesse Winker, I think it's going to be him, the guy that you could be maybe, just maybe, that guy who kind of turns his career around. Because again, in 2021, this guy was an all-star for the Cincinnati Reds. It's not all that long ago. Since going to Seattle and Milwaukee, where he really struggled over the last few years, I think Jesse Winker is not going to be just a bounce-back candidate, but someone who's going to be a big, valuable role to this team. Number one, he understands that he's a veteran kind of leader and presence in this locker room. You've seen it with Lane Thomas. You've seen it with Patrick Corbin. Now, and also Eddie Rosario is in that equation, you have to add Jesse Winker. One thing that I saw after Trey Lipscomb and his debut on Saturday, collecting his first hit, Jesse Winker went out of his way to go kind of slap him in the butt and say, "Congrats, kid." That might mean not all that much to you, but I think that does mean a lot in the grand scheme of things. He knows that he's going to have to be kind of a veteran leadership type. That is why you get your Eddie Rosarios in this clubhouse. That is why you get your Jesse Winkers in this clubhouse, your Matt Barnes, guys who have been here before, maybe have not looked all too great in years past, but still having those leadership qualities does mean a lot for a young team trying to mold a foundation moving forward, especially when you know someone like a Trey Lipscomb kind of needs some extra juice. He did not crack the opening day lineup after being one of the Nationals' better hitters and also one of the better defensive guys through spring training. Getting him up there in his first game, getting a first hit, going over there, kind of congratulate him on the field where everyone saw it. Really cool moment for Jesse Winker. And I think that just kind of goes to show you what the role he could have, what Davey Martinez envisions with Jesse Winker. So hopefully his injury is not all too bad. I don't think it should be too serious. I've yet to see anything too recent or really any speculation as to what have happened, but we are recording this just a few minutes after today's game. So hopefully in the next 30 seconds, we can get a little insight onto what happened from Davey Martinez's press conference. But it looks like Jesse Winker should not be all too bad. He got sick in the first inning, and Jordan Weems is also sick. So I just saw that now. A little breaking right there in the press conference of Davey Martinez. So hopefully they all feel better. But sounds like we dodged a bullet. Nothing too serious. So he's just sick. We'll see what happens with Jesse Winker moving forward. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals there. And of course, hit that subscriber button because, guys, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Day is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. I will catch you guys tomorrow's show. Thank you for tuning in to the special post-game edition on this opening day. You love to see it. Baseball is back in town. We'll see what the Nationals do moving forward. We got the day off on Tuesday. Now, let's look ahead to Wednesday as Trevor Williams takes the mound against his former team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. What will happen? Are you looking forward to it? We'll discuss that on tomorrow's show. Catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.